January 2010. Bomena Prison, the most high-security jail in Papua New Guinea. A woman walks through the front gate, claiming to be a lawyer, but she isn't there to help a client. She's there to start a revolution. Inside her bag is a loaded pistol and the key to the most daring escape in history. This man is William Capri's. To some, he was a cold-blooded criminal. To others, he was a Robin Hood hero. But to the men in power, he was a ticking time bomb. He spoke of a black bank, a secret system where stolen millions were used to buy elections and power. But to understand how he got there, we have to go back. Capri's wasn't born a mastermind. He was a kid from West New Britain with no future and a lot of ambition. By 17, he was already in the system. But the small-time life of a rascal wasn't enough for him. He was smarter than the average criminal. He was a tactician. There are parts of his life that remain a mystery. Rumors of time spent overseas. Stories of specialized training. When Capri's returned to PNG, he didn't want to rob corner stores. He targeted the heart of the economy. He didn't use luck. He used military-style planning. He was no longer just a thief. He was a professional. In 2008, he struck Madang. It was a surgical hit on the BSP Bank. 2.4 million kina vanished into thin air. The police were left chasing shadows. And as his bags of cash grew, his friends in high places started calling. This was the beginning of the end. If the Madang robbery made Capri's famous, his next move made him a legend. He set his sights on the metal refining operations, or MRO. This wasn't just paper cash. This was gold. Millions of kina in raw gold bars. Capri's didn't just walk in and demand money. His crew moved with military precision. They knew the codes. They knew the timing. It was as if someone on the inside had handed them the keys to the kingdom. But here is where the story of William Capri's gets complicated. Most bank robbers hide their money. Capri's, he shared it. In the settlements of Port Moresby and the villages of the coast, he became a hero. He bought food for the hungry. He built a shield of loyalty around himself. The police weren't just looking for a criminal. They were hunting a man the public was willing to die for. The government was humiliated. Every time they thought they had him cornered, he vanished. The police force was under massive pressure. How could one man outsmart the entire nation's security? Rumors began to swirl that the police couldn't catch him because some of their own officers were on his payroll. The net was closing, but Capri's didn't seem worried. He felt untouchable. Finally, in late 2008, the law caught up with him. Capri's was arrested. The country breathed a sigh of relief. The king of thieves was behind bars. But if the authorities thought the story was over, they were dead wrong. Because Capri's knew that as long as he was alive, he held a winning hand. He knew the secrets of the people who put him there. In prison, Capri's didn't act like an inmate. He acted like a king in exile. He began to talk about a higher power. Not a religious one, but a political one. He was ready to tell his side of the story. And his first step to freedom? It wasn't through a trial. It was through the front gate. Inside Bomena Prison, William Capri's wasn't treated like a criminal. He was treated like a VIP. Capri's seemed to have everything he needed. Rumors began to leak out of the prison walls. People said he had a mobile phone. They said he was still running his business from behind bars. But the most shocking secret was yet to come. It wasn't just the male guards who were under his spell. The nation was stunned when reports surfaced of Capri's relationships with female warders. He wasn't just a prisoner, he was a charmer. He used his money and his influence to turn the people supposed to watch him into the people who serve him. This wasn't just about bad security anymore. It was about a total collapse of the system. The king of thieves had turned the country's toughest prison into his own private palace. January 2010. A woman named Julie arrives at the gate. She tells the guards she is a lawyer. She looks professional. She speaks with authority. But inside her briefcase isn't a legal defense. It's a 9mm pistol and a stack of cash. She walks straight to the high security area. The gates open for her. She wasn't there for a meeting. She was there for a delivery. In broad daylight, Capri's and 12 of the most violent men in PNG walked out the front door. Not a single shot was fired. No one was hurt. It was the ultimate embarrassment for the government. The most wanted man in the country was free again. But this time, Khapres knew his time was running out. He knew that the people who helped him escape didn't do it out of friendship. They did it because they needed him to finish a job. Khapres was hiding in plain sight. He wasn't in a cave. He was staying in safe houses, luxury homes in Port Moresby, houses that ordinary criminals could never afford. Who was protecting him? And why were they so afraid of him being caught? When the law finally caught him for the second time, the vibe had changed. Khapres knew he was a dead man walking. He knew that as long as he was just a robber, he was useful. But now, he knew too much. He had seen the faces of the men who funded his heists. He had handled the Black Bank money. He realized that the only way to stay alive was to make his secrets public. He decided that if he was going down, he was taking the giants with him. In 2010, the moment the elite feared finally arrived. William Khapres stood in court and did the unthinkable. He didn't ask for mercy. He didn't stay silent. He began to name names. He told the judge that he wasn't the mastermind. He claimed he was a contractor for some of the most powerful politicians in the country. He described a secret network where stolen bank money was used to buy power and win elections. The courtroom went silent. The names he dropped weren't just low-level officials. They were ministers. They were the men running the country. The names Khapres dropped hit the country like an earthquake. He didn't point his finger at street gangs. He pointed it at the top floor of Parliament. He named names like Patrick Pruitt, Tony Amoore, and Francis Marouz. He told the court that these men weren't just aware of his crimes. He claimed they were his bosses. He alleged that the millions stolen from the banks weren't for him. They were for them. Money to buy votes. Money to stay in power. The politicians, of course, denied everything. And it's important to note, these were the allegations of a convicted criminal in court. No charges were ever filed against them, and all three maintained their innocence. But the seed of doubt was planted. The public began to ask, who is the real criminal? The man with the gun, or the man in the suit? But how did the money get from a bank vault to a political campaign? Khapres explained a secret system he called the Black Bank. He claimed there was a warehouse in the Gordon industrial area run by foreign businessmen. This wasn't a real bank with ATMs and glass doors. It was a clearinghouse for dirty money. Khapres claimed he would deliver the stolen cash there, and in return, clean money would be funneled to political allies. It was a perfect circle of corruption, and Khapres was the only one who could prove it existed. From the moment those names left his mouth, William Khapres was no longer a hero or a robber. He was a liability. He was a witness. In the world of high-level corruption, a witness is a problem that needs to be solved. Khapres knew he was a marked man. He told his lawyers he feared for his life. He knew that the walls of Bomina couldn't protect him from the people who had the keys to the gate. He was waiting for the end. And in May 2013, the end finally began to move. May 14th, 2013. For the third and final time, William Khapres left Bomina prison. But this time, there was no lawyer. There was no smuggled pistol. There was no grand plan. He simply walked out. The authorities claimed it was a security lapse, but the people of PNG knew better. Khapres had become too loud. He was talking to lawyers. He was naming names. July 22nd, 2013. The Hiratano Highway. The hunt for William Khapres ended in a hail of lead. The official police report said there was a shootout. They said Khapres and his companion resisted arrest. But the photos from the scene told a different story. Khapres was gone. The king of thieves, the man who knew the secrets of the most powerful men in the country, was silenced forever. The K100,000 bounty on his head was paid, but the truth he carried seemed to die with him on that dusty road. After his death, the questions didn't go away. Millions of kina from the Madang and MRO heists were never recovered. Some say it's buried in the hills. Others believe it's sitting in offshore bank accounts belonging to the very men Khapres named in court. The Black Bank was never dismantled. The politicians he accused stayed in power. The system Khapres described didn't die with him. It simply went back into the shadows. William Khapres lived as a criminal and died as a fugitive. But he left behind a map of corruption that many are still afraid to follow. If you think the story of the Black Bank ended with Capris, you haven't seen how the system operates today. What happened is disputed. The official version says there was a shootout, but many in PNG believe the truth died with him on that road. We may never know for certain.